What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be installing this Leitner ACS forged bed rack onto this 2022 Ram Power Wagon. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Preston. I am so happy to have my 2022 Ram Power Wagon back in my possession after being in the shop for almost 2 weeks now. If you saw my last episode, I talked about the fact this was in the shop getting some body work done, repairing the dent that was on the side of the bed for me jackknifing my M1102 trailer into the passenger side of the truck bed here. But as you can see, that is now fixed quite well, I must say. I am actually really impressed with the work that was done in terms of the paint and the body work. I had a place called Universal Dent Repair located here in San Antonio, Texas, work on this for me. And I must say, for the most part, I am very happy, especially with the paint and body work that was done to it. If you recall, there was a nice large dent right about here, right along this crease. And there was also a nice little sized dent right down here, and very hard to get to area. But those are now fixed. And this, it was not replaced. It was done via, a paintless, kind of a paintless dent repair. This was repaired, not replaced. And then this entire panel here was repainted. So I think it looks really good. The only problem that I had was when they went to put the Power Wagon decal that is located right here, they kind of messed up on that. So what I did was I just told them to leave that off of the repair, and I would find I'd find a decal of my own and find my own way to get that put on there, because I have an off-roading trip this weekend going out to East Texas with my friends Joey and Eric, and I just had to have this truck back because I want to get the Leitner Designs bed rack installed on it so I can test it out on this weekend outing we have planned. And I just could not wait for them to, they were willing to make it right. They were willing to put another decal on there, but it was just going to take too much time. I wanted there to be enough time to install the rack and then kind of, adjust anything that needs to be adjusted, get it all packed up with gear and ready to go. I don't have a rooftop tent for it just yet. I sold the Smitty built Gen 2 rooftop tent along with the M1102 trailer a few weeks ago, and so that's not here. I'm going to be ground tenting it this weekend, but the Leitner Designs rack that I bought used off of Facebook Marketplace does come with the gear pods, the large gear pod and 2 of the regular sized gear pods, and should provide some very useful storage space that's very accessible. So I'm really looking forward to getting this thing installed today. Now, this isn't going to be like a typical or regular install of the Leitner Designs rack if you were to buy it new, as some of the pieces and parts are already assembled from the previous owner who, took it off in order to be able to probably do as little taking apart as possible, such as these side pieces of the rack here. This bar here is already installed to this, and that's already installed to that bottom part that goes on the bed rail. And you can see this one still has one of these gear mounts still attached. So I think this will go somewhat quicker than a standard install from being brand new, but it's probably still going to be it's still going to take a little bit of time trying to figure it out. I'm going to be referencing some YouTube videos on how to install this, and it does require you to drill 2 holes into the bed of your truck for these support bars that are near the rear, or that are at the rear of the truck. And I know a lot of people aren't fans of that, but I would prefer not to drill into the bed either, but I don't think it'll be a big deal. It's going to be covered up. And it helps support the extra weight that this thing is made to carry, and it's so super stout from what everyone says and from the ratings of it and everything. So I'm still looking forward to installing this thing. So yeah, once you have your one side or both sides of the rack assembled, you're going to flip it over. And you're going to install these clamps, and they correspond just like so. You're going to want to get them as evenly spread apart as possible. Once you get it situated on here, you got to make sure these bolts are unfastened just enough from the clamp so that it kind of hugs it like a lip, and then you'll tighten them once it fits over that. Okay, here's the dilemma and why you might need an extra set of hands. I need to go get a tool to tighten these, and I'm afraid if I just let this sit here, it's gonna bend the lip. Okay, kind of push it up against there, and it looks like it'll be okay. 3/16 Allen. Okay, so I missed a crucial step. You're supposed to put one of these clamp spacers in between where the bolt threads upward to the rail. That way it kind of more evenly distributes it, clamping up against the bed rail. And that probably explains why this didn't feel like it wanted to thread all the way, but it eventually did. So I'm gonna have to undo them and add these spacers. Okay, once you have those clamp spacers in, you want to keep this thing loosely installed so you can still kind of slide it, position it back and forth, because now you're going to put this rear upright bracket on here, and then this is what connects this to that you're going to have to drill a hole in down here. You're going to want to have this centered as much as possible, so you might have to shift this depending on where that exactly is. Just going to position the rear upright brace in here, and the other side's already pre-threaded, so just tight enough where it still shifts. Okay, now you're going to want to install the bed brace bracket to the bed brace with two M8x20 fasteners. You can orientate it this way. Okay, so I was tightening these clamps down, and I was having to shift this around because these weren't threading all the way in with the clamp spacers. And as I was tightening it, the clamp spacer broke. I just don't understand why there's still a gap. This one's pretty close. I was thinking maybe I'd put some washers in there, but man, have to take all that out and put a washer in there. I guess depending on how thick your bed's rail lip is, these bolts might be too long. Well guys, it's the next day. Apologize in advance for the audio. It's kind of blustery. Have like a dry front moving through, but anyway, I'm really bummed that I wasn't able to get these bolts all the way fastened last night. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be flush, but I think what it is once the stationary crossbar and the other side are installed, loosely. The way this is designed is the weight's gonna, when it has the weight of itself tension, it's probably going to pull this back a little bit and make the angle such that this will be able to fasten all the way into that clamp. At least that's what I'm hoping. Either that or I'm gonna have to find a slightly shorter fastener for these bed rail clamps. But luckily I do have an extra clamp spacer that came with the kit that I have. So I think I'm gonna reinstall this with this other bed clamp, with this other clamp spacer. And the instructions said to tighten it down, I believe, to like 70 foot-pounds or something. It wasn't a very high amount of force, and that makes me think that you're not fully tightening this down yet until everything's on the full weight of the rack and it's kind of supporting itself with the crossbar. Once all that's on, and once you're able to attach this, actually I think you tighten it before you put this one on, but at least that's what I'm hoping, so we'll find out here. The guy who previously owned this kept the stationary crossbar brackets attached to the stationary crossbar. Normally these would be detached and you'd attach them to these extrusion rails first, but since it's attached like this and it was on a Power Wagon, I'm just going to keep them and just fasten them down here. The longer bolt, the M8x20, goes in the two holes that are towards the front of the vehicle, and the smaller M8x14 bolt right here goes on the rear side. Okay, the instructional video said something about measuring this width, comparing it to this width, and it's supposed to be 14¼ inches difference or something like that. I went ahead and measured this and I have 63 at the bottom and 47¾ at the top, so I believe that's right where I need to be. I guess since these hadn't been taken off, this was still at the adjusted length from the previous owner, so I guess that was the right length. Okay, now I'm going to assemble the sliding load bar bracket. For whatever reason, this was taken apart, and it's going to look like this. You're going to take this long T-nut and put it on top, like so, and tighten it with two M8x14 fasteners. I noticed there's two different ones. There's one with a more, it's hard to see, more flat lip there. It's kind of like the washer's built in, and then there's this one. I'm not sure. They're both M8, so they both fasten. I'm not seeing another one of these. Actually, I don't know if that is going to thread all the way, or is that just the Loctite? Probably just the Loctite. Oh, there's a whole bag with them already in. Okay, here we go. You know something? I realize that's not right. That's 15.25 inches difference between 63 and 48.25. All right, it's supposed to be 14.25 inches difference between the bottom measurement and the top measurement. So this top measurement should be 48.75, and I believe it was 48.25. 47.75. We need to reduce it by an inch, so a ½ inch. So you want these not to be fully tightened yet. $48.5 and 63.25. So now we're too wide by 3/4 of an inch. 48.5. No, it's only a ½ inch off. Well, it's about an inch off, just ½ inch on each side. I don't think I can push the top out any further. 63.25 and 49. I believe we have 14.25 inches difference between these bottom rails and these top rails, which is exactly what we need. So now I can tighten these bolts connecting the front stationary, or the stationary load bar, to the load bar brackets. Now I'm going to attach the mobile load bar bracket. And do the same to the other side. There we go. All right. They say these truck beds, especially the American trucks, have tapered beds, meaning they're slightly wider in the front than they are in the back. And you have to do the same thing in the back here by measuring and to get this thing, aligned right.
After securing the rear load bar brackets, I proceeded to drill the holes necessary to mount the upright rear brace brackets.
25/64. Well, since I don't have the riv nut tool that came with the kit, I'm having to improvise my own using a bolt that fits the riv nut, in this case M6, and then I have this larger serrated washer, or larger serrated nut, and I'm going to thread that through, put this through the hole. The serrated nut has, it bites, has little edges in there to kind of grip. Let's pray this works. Wow.
Once both upright braces were installed, I could now install the gear pods and other accessories that were already assembled by the previous owner.
Well, fast forward a little bit. I just got back from the first outing with the Leitner rack installed on the 2022 Ram Power Wagon. And I must say, I am pretty impressed with this thing. I didn't even have a rooftop tent installed on this, and I'm already impressed. This rack is just good to have, period. Just for carrying extra gear up and out of the way of the items in your bed, and allows you quick and easy access to things that you may want to have readily available to you and not just stowed away in the truck bed, such as emergency gear, first aid kit, I also just packed my tent and sleeping bag and stuff like that in one of the gear pods, just so I could have that first thing when I got to camp to set up. And it's great. One of the things that really impressed me the most about this was how much access and room you still have with the truck bed. How much accessibility you have, and that's thanks in part due to the adjustable load bar at the top. Let me demonstrate. The Power Wagon's bed is really tall, even for a guy like me who's 6'1", which is why I bring a step stool whenever I go out in this thing. So the Leitner rack system comes with an adjustable rear load bar, and you can easily unscrew these knobs, and you can slide this rear bar forward. Now it only goes so far because, as I mentioned before, the bed is tapered. At least this truck bed is. Not all beds will be like this. You'll be able to slide this all the way back. But here, you can slide it about halfway. And I'm sure if you unscrewed this, you could adjust it even more. But being able to adjust this on the fly like this is incredible. It's pretty valuable to have. And it allowed me to get up in here and still access all the gear. I had this thing loaded up. Me and my friend Eric, he rode along with me. He was supposed to have his own vehicle on this trip we just did. And I had to have him ride along with me. And we had not only all my gear, which I bring a ton of gear, even for just camping 2 nights. We had a lot of his gear as well. And it was very useful to be able to move this bar so that I could climb in here and rearrange things and play Tetris. So I'm really liking this feature. And the previous owner, you can add extra load bars to this thing. And the previous owner did include the third load bar, which I want to install here before I get a rooftop tent. But I think I'm going to have to take apart the rack because the T-nuts aren't installed in this top extrusion rail. And I think in order to put that in there, I have to take all of this apart, which kind of is a bummer. I have to pretty much uninstall the entire thing and reinstall it just to have the third load bar, which I want to have. I already have it. He also included these brackets here that they're made for mounting a rooftop tent in a much more flush and secure manner. I like that it came with that. That's an accessory you can order on the Leitner website. I really got one heck of a deal with this kit. It came with an awful lot of stuff with the rack included. But when you're done, you just adjust it back, tie down these knobs, and it's really tight. And you're ready to keep adventuring. Other than getting a third load bar and installing a rooftop tent, the only other thing I have left to do to this rack that I want to do, that I have the parts to do, is install this traction board mount that goes on the back of the Gear Pod XL here. Now he already had these installed. There actually are holes. You have to drill holes into your existing Gear Pod XL to make this work. And it looks like he had some silicone put in there to prevent any leaks. And that'll allow you to mount. I'm just going to set these here loosely for a while. That'll allow you to mount your traction boards to the back of this gear pod and kind of have them tucked out of the way and actually somewhat secure because it's kind of harder to get to, but I believe you can lock these. But that'll be nice. I don't yet have traction boards, which is why I didn't really totally see the need to install this yet, but I may want to do it sooner rather than later because I've already had some water leak into this extra large gear pod. And I think that was because these aren't installed yet. Well, there you have it. That is the installation and review of the Leitner ACS forged bed rack for a 2022 Ram 2500 Power Wagon. If you'd like to see this thing in action on the trails, check out this link right here. And as always, if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, hit the like button, hit the bell to be notified of the next video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.